the topic which is the title of this panel, namely how and human-level intelligence, how and when. So your best guess on the when question, what's the point? How many years from now is it, are you, say, 50% confident that we'll have achieved core-level capacities of human-level intelligence in AI? And your best guess as to the kind of technology that's likely to get us there.
Thank you. I think I'm supposed to be the robotics curmudgeon among this lot and say, oh, it's going to happen in much longer than you all think. It's unclear. I mean, of course, it will happen eventually. There's no reason to believe that we won't be able to figure it out at some point. But I think I'm a little bit more skeptical than the 20-year sort of timeline, maybe because even though I think function approximation is great, and it's great that we finally cracked supervised learning and so on, and made quite a bit of progress on model-free reinforcement learning, I'm not sure if you can take general artificial intelligence and turn it into a problem formulation that we know how to solve using these techniques right now.
So my answer to when is take your estimate, double it, triple it, quadruple it. That's when.
So I'm going to come from the IBM Watson perspective. And if we want to achieve true professional level AI, which is the new thought I want to bring in here, we need to go after augmenting human intelligence. But I think in terms of AGI, in the very, very general sense, I don't think it's going to happen in my lifetime, based on my practical experience of the complexity of the real world in all of the implementations we've done so far.
Let me first address the when question. Since my teenager times, I have been claiming that I want to build something that is smarter than myself, such that I can retire. And my retirement age is 2028, which means I should probably stick with that, except there's a little caveat. In Switzerland, the people are getting older and older, and so they're raising the retirement age all the time. Let's see how long it's going to take.
Hand up. This is a great question. The future is always fun to speculate, and you cannot answer the when question without the how question. And then you can't answer the how question without deciding what path do you want to have be the how question, not just what ought to be or might be. And that means understanding human speech, understanding human conversation and language, understanding human intent in an interactive conversation. So I think that's where we're going to go. And see, now then I've turned into Ray Kurzweil. So you get to this point where we have this sort of human-centric AI that gets us all of us humans as good as all of us humans. And then at that point, it's unpredictable. Because if you could do that, there's no sharp turning point. Once you can hook us up to the things that make us as good as any humans, then it's the Kurzweil's fantasy is the point. Right? At that point, you're only limited by how good the AI can get. And then I can't predict that.
So I'm just interested to get the range of perspectives on the panel as to what the big obstacles and challenges are going to be for current methods and where they're likely to hit a wall. And maybe
we'll hit hard walls if we don't add more fundamental progress. And in my presentation and Jan's presentation, we talked a lot about unsupervised learning and common sense reasoning and so on.
I think one of the big obstacles to reaching the kind of AI we want is a much better way of handling language. I think, we don't spend, we've heard a lot about the sort of the perceptual level, Jan and Joshua and everyone has talked about it, but I think language processing with the inherent ambiguities and complexities needs a hugely, higher level of research and breakthroughs in order to make the kinds of AI that I'm interested in, which is the professional level AI happen.
So to me, the obstacle to AI is that we have this big mountain in front of us that we need to climb, which is learning world model and learning predictive models under uncertainty with uncertainty in the predictions. We just don't know how many mountains are behind it. It could be the last mountain, there could be another 50 mountains behind it that we don't see. And so that's why I'm very reluctant to make predictions about how long it's going to take to reach human level AI.
I think one challenge for me has been defining the state space and the action space to begin with. It's obvious in some problems and not so obvious in others. And sort of to kind of go back to the thing that I actually know a little bit about, the interaction with people seems So the way we think about AI right now is we think about it in terms of, okay, I have an objective and I need to get better and better at optimizing that objective. And one thing that we've been finding, at least in robotics, is that focusing on this function is a little bit tricky when you actually want to deploy the system in the real world, because the reason you're deploying the system in the real world is because you want it to actually support some real people in some shape or form. And nowhere in our problem definition do we have people at all, right? They're completely missing.
So, I think we're going to need things like equivalent of episodic memory to allow sort of fast learning. Many people working on that. We're working on neural Turing machines and memory augmented networks that Jan's working on, and others. So there's a whole category of things there. I think we need concept learning, which some of the panelists already mentioned, learning abstract concepts, and then ultimately grounding language in those abstract concepts as they've been learned from sensory experience. I think that's an unsolved problem. Hierarchical planning is an unsolved problem. How do we create hierarchies of subroutines effectively of what we're doing sort of in an unsupervised way? How do we create sort of pick sub-goals automatically and generate those? So there's a huge, massive load of unsolved problems out there. In terms of how many mountains are left, I would say there's definitely more than half a dozen, probably more, but I'd be surprised if there's more than about 20.
Okay, maybe one more quick question before we throw it open to the audience, and this is the other end of the timeline. What is the development such as if this came along, we would then have pretty good reason to think human-level AI, human-level AGI is just around the corner. What's gonna tell us, hey, it's coming in 5 or 10 years?
I think when we have a little monkey, then it will not take much longer than that, because the little monkey can do pretty much everything that I can do, plan ahead, look at its social context, and do all kinds of things. And I just can do more of that because I have 1 liter of brain and he's got only 1 cubic centimeter or something like that. But once we have a little monkey-like intelligence, we will be almost there.
I just want to augment that with, from a robotics physical world perspective, I'm happy with like a bird or, I don't know, a little rat or something like that. That would be great.
So I'll repeat something that I mentioned earlier, which is that I believe that if we are able to build a learning system that can discover high-level abstractions and really explain the things that the agent is seeing and the world in which it is acting, then it's just I believe it's mostly a matter of scaling that up, but we're not there, of course.
I'll be excited when our job of doing research as scientists is similar to what Guru was saying, where I come in the morning and the scientific discovery systems, right, has read what's come out on archive overnight and is coming to me with hypotheses and collaboration suggestions that I have to sift through and make some judgment calls on. I think we're very, very, very far from that.
I may add one thing about management. I think management is a really hard job, yeah. Well, it's not. I don't think it's ever going to get automated. But if it makes if I have enough tools to do, to make some of the decisions that today I make very manually and very kind of ad hoc manner, I would start saying, in my own life. If such tools make their way into my daily work, I would think of that as an indicator of, we're getting close to, something we want.
So I'm looking for the breakthrough along the lines of Neil Stephenson's Young Ladies Illustrated Primer. That is the box that can teach you and you can teach it. The second part's really important. We can learn from Wikipedia, right? If we're the right caliber of using with the right language skills, et cetera. But if an AI is capable of learning from you, then it's capable of helping you wherever you start from, all the way through your life. It can learn about you. It can learn about things you're interested in, and so on. That a general thing, some small cabal of AI scientists are not going to anticipate the need for. So I think that's the key, learning in both directions. And I would love to see that breakthrough happen in 5 years.
Well, I think we've always thought about since the inception of DeepMind, 5-6 years ago, that concept learning and language, grounded language use would be a big milestone towards full AGI system. So maybe that's halfway or something. So whenever that arrives, given how much time that has taken, that would be a big step forward. I think another way of looking at it is what someone else already mentioned on the panel is perhaps a nature level paper where the first author's the AI. I think would be a pretty cool moment.